This gun, believe it or not, I saw on eBay. This was listed as an old child's cork shooting toy rifle. The guy didn't really know what it was, but I recognised it instantly. I mean, anyone that's into air rifles will know exactly what that is. It's a daisy, and I'm slightly addicted to daisies. You know, I'm not the only one. Sure, you know you are, Shane, if you're watching this. But I didn't know which one it was. Obviously, it's had someone has made a stock for it, and it's the stock is cracked, split there. It doesn't actually cock or fire or anything, but then that's not surprising because the trigger spring is floating around loose inside. But once I got hold of it, once it arrived, and I had a good look at the roll stamp on the top, and it turns out that this is a very interesting daisy. This is the old Trusty training rifle. So it's not actually an air rifle as such. It doesn't shoot pellets or BBs. It's just designed to be cocked and make a noise. I think if you stick corks in the end of it, it will pop those out. But other than that, it's not an actual working gun. This is Daisy number 960. There are lots of different ones of these made. I think they first appeared in about 1953. This one is great because it's all bolts and nuts holding it all together. Some of them were riveted. I think this would have originally had a plastic stock on it, so I've got to make, obviously I'll make another wooden one for it, and it's obviously the wooden, the stock should be, the loading lever should be into a groove in the stock, which obviously this tells you that this is not the right stock for it. But yeah, I mean, it's very, very rusty. I think this is a paint finish on here. I don't know. I'll have to check up on that. But I'll have to take all that right back to the bare metal. I might have a go at bluing it actually, because I've had quite a lot of success with that recently. Let me just zoom in on the cocking lever, because this is my first daisy, which has what I consider to be totally lovely. This is called the 3-star. This is a 3-star aluminium lever. It's got 3 stars on it, which is really nice. Nice bit of detail on these levers, brilliant stuff. Yeah, so this is going to need a strip down. Well, maybe not a full strip down, but certainly got to take stock off and the lever off and all the rest of it and find out what's up with the trigger and everything. So, but yeah, again, I'm really lucky to get this, and the fact that it was on eBay, that is just amazing, because you know, you're not allowed to sell actual guns on eBay. But then again, this isn't an actual gun. It was a training rifle. So, you know, it doesn't technically shoot anything. So, but yeah, there we go. Lovely. Daisy number 960. Old Trusty training rifle. Well, I've got the daisy stripped down. I haven't attempted to remove the spring. Now, when I first got the gun, I couldn't cock it. But that was basically because the trigger spring, which is kind of essential to getting it to cock properly, was floating around loose inside the receiver here. Took it all apart, put the trigger and the lever back in place, and you can manually engage the sear without the spring. Cocked it, did that, and it fired fine. So it does work. It's just that this spring was just loose inside the receiver. So looking down the end of the barrel, I'm not going to do that because you won't be able to see it anyway, but the spring looks a little bit on the rusty side. So what I'm probably going to do is put some drops of engine oil, flood the spring compartment, get plenty of oil in there and get it all lubricated up. But the barrel is in and receiver is in pretty bad way, as you can see. You know, it's quite badly rusted. I think this was painted, and most of the paint is gone. So we'll take this down to the bare metal, and then I'll attempt to blue it, as I've had some practice now with the whole bluing system. The stock's completely wrong. I did think I might possibly be able to use my Red Rider stock, which is here, and that could be made to fit. The holes are in the right place, but it's not the right shape for the gun. I've got a picture I took off of the internet here. I'll put that, print it out, put that on. This is there you go. So that is what the number 960 old Trusty training rifle stock should look like, and I think they were originally plastic. I think I can make a fairly good facsimile of that out of wood. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I won't be able to make it all contoured, and I won't do the checkering or anything. But I should be able to make a fairly reasonable, version of that without too much trouble. So there we go. I need to go and see my friend who's got the nice source of wood. See if we can find a piece of hardwood that will be okay to make the stock. Got to draw that out first, of course, and then clean up everything else, basically. Yeah, I think it will be fun project, and I think it will clean up nicely. Half an hour with the wire wheel, and the receiver is looking a hell of a lot better. I'm going to give it a going over with some wire wool just to finish it off, and then we'll wipe it down with acetone and clean that off with fresh water, and then dry it off, and it will be ready for the bluing process. The trigger came up quite well. I basically just put that in a little pot with some acetone, brushed it all off, all the crud and crap that was on there, so that's come up quite nicely. Yeah, I've still got to do something with it. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the aluminium 3-star lever. I'm not really sure about that. I don't want to damage the aluminium, so I'll think about that. I think it definitely needs new bolts. I don't think the bolts that were holding it all together were original. Like I said, I've still got to make a new stock for it, but it's coming along. So the bluing turned out really well on this little Daisy, and once again, I'm really impressed with the Birchwood and Casey Super Blue. There we go. Now, I'm not sponsored or anything. I had to pay for this just like everybody else. I'm always impressed when you get a product and it simply does the job. It does what it says on the tin, and no more, no less, no fuss. It works. This is the third barrel I've done now, and it's turned out, well, superb. You saw what this was like. It was absolutely covered in crap, rusty, hardly any of the paint left on it. And no, it's done a really good job. And the other beauty of it is now that the roll stamp is completely legible. I'll bring you in close on that. You can quite clearly see Daisy number 960, old trusty training rifle. And if I rotate it round there, I don't know how well that'll come out, but it definitely says Daisy Manufacturing Company, Plymouth, Michigan. Which again tells us that this is one of the early ones, because I believe Daisy transferred from Michigan to Arkansas in 1958. These things first came out in 1953. So this has got to be one of the ones that was obviously made at the Michigan factory. And so 53 to 58, somewhere around that time. So the next thing to do with the receiver and barrel assembly is to stand it on its butt end and put some motor oil down the front to lubricate all the internals. But before I do that, I want to match it up with the Red Ryder stock, and then draw out the stock shape so that I've got a paper pattern, so I know exactly how, what size bit of wood I need to make the new stock from. So that's what I'll be doing next. Well, as you know, I was umming and ahhing about how to clean up the aluminium lever from the Daisy. And I tried various different things. Paint strip wouldn't touch it. It's not really surprising, because the paint's been on there for, well over 60 years. And back in those days, paint was pretty damn good. So, in the end, I opted for this. And it worked a treat. A Scotch-Brite wheel. I've got a whole load of these. I bought a load of them way back. The different colours are different basically abrasive grades. I used the softest one that I had. And worked away at it, and it come up a real treat. Because you don't want to damage the aluminium, because obviously it's aluminium, so it's relatively soft. And I didn't want to remove any of the 3-star logo and all of this pattern in here. So yeah, so that's come up quite nicely. So I'm going to etch prime that and then paint it black, and that'll be the lever done. I've got the barrel and receiver soaking in oil. I've just put some oil down the oil hole and at the top end to let it run down and hopefully soak the spring. That's got to be left. I'll leave that for today. Then tomorrow I'll tip it up the other way and drain any oil out that way. That'll be the barrel and receiver done, and then it's on to the stock. Some progress with the little Daisy old trusty training rifle. The lever has been painted and it's turned out really well. You can still see all the detail of the 3 stars. That's just come out really nicely, so that's ready to go back in. Thanks to my good friend Greg, as he has donated this wonderful piece of mahogany, which he's also put through his thicknesser to get it down to the right size. So that's going to be the new stock's coming out of that, and that'll should be lovely when it's done, because it's a really nice piece of mahogany. So there's the pattern, basically paper pattern for the actual new stock, and I shall simply temporarily stick that onto the bit of wood, then trace around it, which will give me the outline, and then I shall cut the basic shape out on the bandsaw, and that'll be it. Job done.